Well, I have a question for the three of you because
Okay, great.
I'm curious. So, based on
Just
why are you laughing?
you like candles? I just didn't know what you were gonna say.
Do you like candles?
Oh, you love candles, so you're always talking about candles, Sylvie.
Wow, that I. Do you like candles?
I didn't know that about you, Sylvie.
I don't think I do. I mean, like, I think I like a candle as much as the
come on!
next
Every
person.
time there's a gift guide, you're always talking about candles.
Okay, there was 1 year. There was 1 year where I found these really nice smelling candles, artisanal candles, artisanal candles.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, please. Hello and welcome to Talking Too Loud with Chris Savage. I'm your host, Chris Savage. I'm joined by the one and only Sylvie Lubau, our podcast producer extraordinaire. Sylvie, what's up? How are you?
Greetings. I'm good.
Greetings. Hello. Very formal today. Yes. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Cheerio. Yes, great. Today we are interviewing Jean Merlain and Yooni Choi, who both work at Wistia and are the product marketer and product manager for Wistia Live. And so we're going to be talking about Wistia Live. Big surprise. I love it. But we're going to talk about how it's been going, what's been changing there, what's new. We're going to kind of go behind the scenes into what it takes to grow a new product. So Wistia as a hosting platform, been around for a very long time. But live events is something that's pretty new for us. It's been about 1.5 years, a little more than that. We've changed a lot technically. We've evolved the product a lot, paid a lot of attention to different metrics. And so this interview is going to be digging deep on that, how we decide kind of what to build, how do we decide what to launch. So if you want an inside look at how Wistia does this, I think this will be a great example of that for you. Did I miss something?
No, very behind the scenes.
Okay, great. Good.
Very informative.
So Sylvie, you know, it wouldn't be talking too loud if we weren't getting loud about what we're talking too loud about. So what's got you talking too loud?
Flea markets. Flea markets. So this past weekend, my dad had a stand at a Brooklyn flea market. Very exciting. His first stand. Big deal. You know, there were some learning moments. He was selling Fiesta ware. I don't know if you're familiar with Fiesta ware.
What is that? Nope.
It's plates, like very beautifully colored plates that are antique-y and...
For a Fiesta?
You know, I should have looked up the name, but I started laughing because I told somebody else that he had Fiesta ware, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't know your dad like made clothes for parties." And I was
that's kind of what I thought,
yeah,
but I wasn't going to say that. So
I will show you what it is. I will show you what it is.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, show me.
See?
Wow, look at that.
The saucers, the little cups.
And he made these or he purchased them? Is this like an import-export situation or is this a creation situation?
He did not make these. They're a very famous flatware. Famous flatware. Maybe I should pick a new thing. I think I have to pick
I think this one's good.
I don't think it's landing.
No!
But I was talking too loud about, sales, actually. Sales. I was talking, how do you land a sale? My dad has a lot to learn, as does my mom. Me, I'm a professional. They say, $20, can you do a little better? I say $15. They say, all right. Dad won't budge on the price.
So you negotiate. You bring the price down. Your dad's like, no.
Dad's like, are you kidding me?
This is fantastic Fiesta ware. This goes
for like $150 on eBay. Absolutely not. You don't like it? Go somewhere else. And I was like, wow.
So why, if it goes for $150 on eBay, why is he selling it at the market for $20?
Because he has so much of it, Savage. He has so much.
Then he should sell it on eBay and he'll make like way more, right?
Well, that is the next step. But I think it was like, like a live event.
Okay. He was just intoxicated by the live event.
Intoxicated? It's cool to have a stand at a flea market, Mm-hmm. Lugging things in, taking them out, chatting
It's
with
like
the people.
it's like all this
Looking
extra
at-
work. Yeah, it's great.
Whatever. You're not a true fleer. I can see.
Well, I guess I didn't understand that a true fleer meant a bad deal for yourself. Much extra work.
I have found a lot of great things at flea markets. A beautiful map of Maine, a teapot, a cookie jar.
Okay.
Things
okay.
that make my home feel like home.
Okay, can you actually, how would you define a flea market? Like, what is a flea market really?
What is a flea market really? It's sort of
don't
like...
look it up. I see you typing.
Okay, I was looking it up.
You don't know. You don't know what it is.
I just feel like my definition is going to be silly. It's like a bunch of people who decided to have garage sales, but they brought their garage sale to the same location. They're selling tchotchkes, they're selling clothes, they're selling homemade art.
Okay, so it's something you go to because you're like, all right, I have no idea what I'm going to get, so it's kind of exciting.
So exciting.
And I think I'm going to get good deals because people aren't putting this on eBay. They want to see the person who's buying the thing.
Yeah.
They want to have they want to converse, and like the negotiation's kind of part of it, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Like, get in there, negotiate a little bit. That's kind of like back to like bartering, feeling.
Yeah,
like
the
that
old
kind
days.
Of like,
The olden times.
I mean, that does sound fun.
Have you never been to a flea market? I know you
have.
like all new all the time.
No, that's not true. I have been to flea markets, but it just has been a little bit.
Okay. Unhinged, but I have to ask, what has you talking too loud, sir?
I've fallen back into a show that I was watching in COVID that I loved called Taskmaster. Did we ever talk about that? I think we maybe did.
We did. It feels like a long time ago.
It's like a British panel show, and it's maybe 10 episodes in a season, and there's a Taskmaster, this guy, Greg Davies, and there's this other guy, Alex Horn, who's his assistant, and they give like 5 comedians have all these different tasks they have to do.
Okay.
And they do all the tasks in advance, and it might be like, figure out how many balls are in this like huge thing, and you have pit, and you have 3 minutes to do it, and you can't use your hands. You can only use whatever instruments you can find to count them. And then they're comedians, and so they all do really ridiculous things that they're trying to win the task, and they're trying to get the answer, but they're also know to be funny. And so every episode is like, they'll do it for laughs. But every episode, the 5 comedians are sitting on panel with the Taskmaster, and they are watching back the videos of them doing the tasks, and joking and whatever, and being made fun of. And then the Taskmaster just assigns points of who he thinks, quote, did it best, which is his arbitrary decision making. But it's the mix of this show. The tasks are absurd and clever and funny, and you watch them and you think, like, how could I do this? Like, if I was in that situation, how could I do this? So it's kind of like fun in that way. The comedy is just really fun and genuine and like pretty clean and just like
good, clean fun.
It's good, clean fun. And we've fallen back into it. And one of the other things that's really fun about it is like, if you watch the first episode, I don't know who the comedians are most usually.
Yeah.
But by episode 4, 5, 6, you feel like you're getting to know them, and their comedy gets funnier because you understand their personalities better. And it's just good, clean fun. So
good, clean fun.
I would say, yes, that's what I'm talking about right now.
I'm going to watch it. Yes. I'm going to watch it.
Okay, so we really went off the rails with this intro, but I think that's totally fine because Jean and Yooni work at Wistia, and they'll be okay with this. So let's get to the interview. Jean and Yooni, welcome to the show. So good to see you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having me.
This is a very special episode. Both Jean and Yooni work at Wistia. I see them all the time, virtually, in person. And so just excited to have you here today on the show. And we're going to be talking a lot about Wistia Live. But first, I have to ask you the question. Obviously, the show is called Talking Too Loud because when I get excited, I cannot control the volume of my voice. So we have to know what has our guests excited. So we'll start with you, Yooni. But what's got you talking too loud today?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. I just bought a house and moved in a few months ago, which is super exciting.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
Congrats.
And so I've entered my suburban dad era, which means I'm very into power tools right now.
Really?
Yes. So I'm really into power tools. My husband has just amassed a bunch of tools over the years, and he's been using them in our apartments, which is like very interesting, and I can talk about that at a later time. But I just learned how to use a miter saw recently. Was cutting up some 2x4s.
Nice.
Wow.
And then we got an orbital sander. So I've been using that.
What is
there's
that?
What does that do?
So it's basically a sander. You just put a little grit on it, and it just spins really rapidly. So instead of you doing this manually. Yes.
Okay. It's
Jane's
not a
like,
sphere,
I
though.
know
It's
this.
a circle. No,
It's
is
like
it?
it's like the thing is like a circle. Yeah.
It's a
and
circle.
you just like
Okay.
hover
I thought
over
maybe
wood.
it was like a sphere, like an orb. And you,
like yeah.
and you like put it into sockets of things, and I don't know. That's where my mind went.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
sure
mean,
it makes any sense.
I had to ask him what are the names of these tools because I'm like that thingy over there that does that one thing. He's like an orbital sander. I'm like yes, but we've been making things out of wood. It's been incredible. I feel so empowered. We made like this drying rack out of 2x4s, and it fits like perfectly in this corner of our basement. And our basement has like no space, so I'm like, okay, what else can I make now? Like I'm so
That's
into
cool.
it.
This
Yeah.
is
exciting.
impressive. I'm impressed. I could not use an orbital sander ever. I
Could
won't.
you use any power
You
tool,
could.
Sylvie, or no?
This guy, the old brain,
Just the old
power
brain,
tool.
the old noggin.
Yeah.
And Jean, what's got you talking too loud today?
Yeah, so for me, it's a few things. As you all know or may know, I am big into sports, specifically basketball, and we're big in the playoffs right now. My team, they just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston Celtics is my team. So it's been fun watching them play the last few weeks. But outside of sports, I've been really excited about what's happening in the world of AI. The demo that OpenAI did on Monday and the demo that Google did on Tuesday was just exciting.
Yeah, those demos were very different and very, very funny. Like
Yeah.
the OpenAI, like super hip, like chic, you know, people sitting with their phone in like an incredible environment. And the Google one with it's like, you know, included like the crazed, like, I don't know, was he like a DJ or was that guy who was like, you know what I'm talking about, right? The guy
Yeah,
who's being memed left and right.
Yeah. It's like he's a big DJ on TikTok. What was different about it is Google was very traditional in terms of how they've always done their releases and their product demos, whereas OpenAI seemed very chill and relaxed. Even though it was very highly produced, it definitely was in some sort of a studio, but the demo itself was very personable. It's as if you were in their living room and one of the engineers put out a phone and said, hey, look at this thing I've been working on. Let me actually show you a full demo. So that was a big difference between OpenAI and Google, but still they both had a level of impact to kind of show you where AI is headed in terms of consumer adoption, which I think is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was cool. I thought it was interesting to see the difference between them two. It's like if they had been separated by 2 months, you wouldn't be able to like compare them in that way. And I find the vibe difference to be interesting in terms of how they've decided to present it. We could spend the whole episode of this. We're not going to. Instead, we're here to talk
We have
about
more important things.
Yes, we're here to talk about Wistia Live. So, Wistia Live has been in market for just under 2 years. It's changed a lot. Maybe could you tell us about where the product started? It's just for someone who doesn't know, like where did it start and like where are we now? What's happening today?
So Wistia Live started as just a simple idea, right? Just to allow users to host webinars and have it done in one place, right? The initial goal was to essentially have them create seamless webinars, removing all the friction that typically comes with hosting a webinar. That is, you open one software, host your event, remember to press record for that event or webinar. And then once all of that is done, you have to remember to download that video recording, upload it onto a platform like Wistia, and share that recording with your audience. Oftentimes, depending on the nature of the event, you pass the recording on to an editor or a freelancer to have them cut it up, add some design elements to it just so it looks a little bit more polished. And once it's all said and done, you go and share it with your audience. That took a lot of time for a lot of marketers. From conversations that we've had with customers, oftentimes it took them hours just to be able to go from recording an event and getting that recording into the platform and sharing it out. And in Wistia, once a user goes and actually create an event, it saves them all those hours because the recording is already saved in Wistia. We allow you to edit that recording, and then you can just add all the bells and whistles that Wistia offers outside of the webinar component, and then share that recording with your audience. So it went from just a simple idea of allowing users to do all of that in Wistia and gathering feedback from users initially to then improve the product over time, just to make the feature more engaging and exciting, and really allowing for marketers to engage with the audience in real time and getting that real-time engagement just from hosting events and webinars in one place.
Yooni, do you want to talk a little bit about like some of the things we've been doing recently, some of the recent changes, and where you think we're going to go next?
Yeah. So I wasn't around for the initial launch for Wistia Live. I was on a different team at Wistia, but I did ask the devs about their experience and then sort of the evolution leading up to today and all the different features we're releasing now. And it's been a really interesting story. So the stuff that we're releasing now are very much like a reflection of customer feedback, stuff that people have been asking about for some time now. And we're finally at this rate of shipping really quickly, which is incredible. The amount of work that it took to get here too, like, just can't be ignored. There were so many edge cases, a lot of internal and external testing that went into getting to this point. I asked each of the devs to basically walk me through their experience over the last couple of years being on the team. And it was really the story about like, build this foundation first. Make sure the live streaming is actually reliable. It's not going to break or stop in the middle, like get it to a really functioning form. And now all the new features that we've been putting out are really great ways for marketers to like engage with their audiences. So we've got things like Q&A, bringing up those things onto the stage. You have like these beautiful layouts now, so people don't have to on stage, think about what layout makes the most sense. Like, we've taken care of that for you, so things look really seamless and beautiful by default. We've got things like moderation, better moderation. If you've got a bad actor in the chat, you want to give them the boot and silence them, you've got those tools now. Oh. So it's really about like, get that host and the presenters feeling comfortable. Take care of all the stuff that like normally would have been really difficult. Don't think about those things. Just think about the content you're presenting. So it's really shifted now from sort of like that building of a foundation reliability towards, okay, let's get you really comfortable and relaxed. We know hosting a webinar can be really stressful. Let us help you put on the best show possible. So yeah, a lot of the new features are really exciting. We've got a ton more coming down the pipeline in that area too.
Yeah, as someone who does a lot of webinars like externally too on other platforms, and then now a lot of webinars on Wistia Live, I feel like the difference I feel in the confidence of like the backstage chat, seeing the people who are backstage who can help you when you're live, which is like a very foundational basic thing, but when you're in Wistia Live and you're presenting, you can see the people who are actually like organizing who's on stage and who's not, and dealing with chat and doing Q&A and stuff. And that simple thing I found to like drive a lot of confidence. And now like it's showing up in the visual experience of watching has been really elevated, which I think is really cool. Like it's not yet at like a live TV level of like, hey, you're watching the nightly news and we're like, there's like, breaking news and chyrons going on the screen and stuff. Right. But it's getting closer, and it's interesting to see the evolution, because it's so exciting for me that we get to they really democratize these tools, right, for more people. It's not that no one could do this. It's just you had to have someone who is like a really incredible video producer who could do live video enablement, could do it, but the average person couldn't. So it's sweet. Exactly. It's sweet to see this progress.
I think that vision is exactly spot on, of like getting to the point where you don't have to have the most technical, behind the scenes team or tools, but you should at some point be able to produce these like highly beautiful technical things that you see on the news with the overlays and Chiron. So we're definitely like using that type as a vision for us and sort of building our roadmaps towards that. And I'm really excited.
You guys both talked about customer feedback being really important to iterating on the product and building. What were people clamoring for? Like, after you built this amazing foundation, like, what was the first thing that they were like, we need this?
I can go first with one idea, and then Jean, I'm curious what you've seen over the evolution too. So one thing we were really, really keen on focusing on this trimester, the last couple of months, has been layouts. So previously, we had several different types of layouts that you could introduce into your event, and you could change and toggle between them. One thing we heard customers really clamoring about is, I don't want to have to think about creating the best layout every time I put a presenter on the stage or I share my screen when I have like other visible, like visual elements on the stage. I just want it to be done very seamlessly. And so we use that as our like vision when we were road mapping towards this, is like, how do we get something to look nice by default? We've been using this internal vernacular like S tier, which I don't know if people know about this, but there's A levels.
Oh,
and
you're
then,
really telling it. I like this. We're getting
then
into
there's
it.
S tier. Yeah.
S tier.
The words S tier have never been said. I've never heard them more. I've never said them more in my entire life. S tier is like when you see people at Wistia, it's basically like S tier, S tier. It's like, it's, which you should explain, but we're getting into like what this really takes here, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, the secret sauce, right? Yeah, S tier is this, it's based off of the school system in Japan. So there's, you know, ABC grades that you can get for your testing. And then there's S tier, which is beyond the A+. This is better and than everyone else, basically. And so we really want to differentiate the product. And so the thing that we're keeping in mind is, how do we help our, you know, customers when they're hosting a live event get to S tier without them having to configure everything and think about things on the spot, like make things so seamless for them. And that's been our guiding light. And I think it's been really interesting seeing like layouts, for example, evolve in that direction.
Yeah, over time, customer feedback has played a big role in improving our product and getting it to that S tier level that Yooni just mentioned. And one of the features that we added recently is the ability for users to share their Wistia videos during a live event. Usually during a live event or a webinar, you're sharing a screen, whether you're sharing your screen for the slides itself that you're showcasing during the event, or you're opening up a different window to share videos, to share audio, etc. And sometimes it can create a lot of friction because the audio might not carry over, and all of those things you don't want to have to think about during the event itself, because it takes away from the engagement that you have with not just your fellow panelists, but also your audience. So what we did was, of course, because we're Wistia, you're already hosting your videos in one place. Why not make it easy for you to go into your Wistia library, pull the videos, create a queue or playlist, if you will, inside the event, and share those videos as you see fit throughout the entirety of your event. One, it retains the quality of your video, so you don't have to worry about the quality size or the quality of the video getting choppy in the recording. And two, the audio will essentially remain the same throughout the entirety of the event. That's one feedback that we got from users and we quickly implemented, and I've seen great success around. We even use it during our own events internally. We use it for our own webinars that we've hosted recently, but it's definitely a feature that we've added that I'm very excited about and feel very proud about.
Yeah, that's something that was funny because like we launched the product, we're so excited because we could save you so much time. Like if you use Wistia Live in the first week, we're going to save you, guarantee we're going to save you the downloading and uploading time if you were to just take that. But we, from a lot of research, saw that about 100% of people will edit their webinar somewhat, pulling off blank space, whatever. So we can save you even more time because they have the editor, right? We're really pumped. And then like very quickly people were like, yeah, but I want to just pull videos from my account. I want to play the back of the event. We're like, oh, yes, this makes sense. But it was actually hard to get it to work the way we wanted it. So it was like really, really good. And that's what's so cool now is like if you have an event, you play back a video, it looks incredible. And it's just, I look at a lot of these things as like, you know, you think you know what the customer problem is that you're solving, and then over time you get more and more clarity on how you can really help somebody, which is like what got us to the S tier stuff, what got us to the layout stuff, which got us to this video playback stuff, and even things like the Q&A. It is like, is the Q&A on the stage or is it on the side? Is the polling on the stage or is it on the side? The moderation stuff, all of these details that add up to create the experience. And it's been fun to watch it because, as Yooni was saying, like the speed, some of these things were really foundational that we had to get right. And now we're going so fast. It's amazing. I want to bring people in because like we could just talk about specifics of Wistia Live the entire time. I don't want this only to be a Wistia Live ad, although obviously if you're listening, like it is to some degree. I thought it'd be cool to talk about like what it takes to grow a product. So not launch it, but last time Jean was on, we talked about launching, which was cool, and bringing people behind the scenes of that. But like, what does it take to really grow it? What types of things do you track? What types of things, like how are we talking with customers? And how do you synthesize the feedback? So this is a really big thing. But maybe we could start with like today, Yooni, if you know, we're working in these sprints and you're figuring out what should be in the next sprint. How do you think about what should go into that? Like, where does the information come from? How do you make the decisions? And what does it feel like to be doing that with something that's like actively growing really fast?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good balance too of like, there's always stuff that has been coming in as customer feedback that we hadn't been able to address until we find like the right time to do it. So there's always like a batch of work there. And then there's always new feedback coming in because we're getting new features out, and there's always something really cool that people have ideas about. Like once AI hit products, like those kinds of requests have been coming in. We haven't had features like that in the past. We have a AI description generator now, and then there's other ideas for how to maybe take the transcript of a video from a live event and be able to, you know, produce a description, which we actually can do in Wistia in the platform today too. So there's a lot of interesting feedback that we're getting on an ongoing basis. For me as the product manager, the thing I think most about, and we actually have this as a value at Wistia, is centering the customer. So we don't just take in feedback and then, you know, have recency bias and just address the stuff that have most recently come in, right? Like we really think holistically about when did the feedback come in? How many people are impacted and would want this feedback? Does it really serve our customers and the use cases that they're trying to accomplish through our platform? And so I don't sit in isolation and make these decisions on my own either, of course. Like I work with my team and a whole suite of others, including Jean, and we make these decisions consciously about the things that are going to bring the most value to people. So a lot of the stuff that we're working on are, you know, sometimes balancing reliability, issues that have come up in the product that maybe we want to pay down as debt, but also really exciting stuff that we've never thought about or has come in as feedback that we are thinking in creative ways. So I'd say for me, the thing that I'm always focused on is really making sure and driving the value to customers. And, you know, when they join Wistia, they're getting the full end-to-end platform, right? So we think about that whole spectrum as well. If we enable something in Wistia Live, how does it impact other parts of the app? How does it work holistically together? I'd say the decision-making process really kind of rests on all of those elements, yeah.
Can you talk about what do we track to make sure that we know if something's working or not?
Yes, yeah. One big thing is qualitatively, like customer feedback. So we're working with a lot of the folks on our teams that are customer facing, getting feedback about, you know, how is this feature working, or what are some improvements qualitatively, that sort of bucket of feedback. Other things that we're tracking are things really more related on the quantitative side. We're tracking and making sure that when people are clicking on things, for example, is it telling us a story about how discoverable is the feature? Is the feature accessible? Is it something that's actually meeting the needs of folks? We do, on our team anyway, we're doing like 30-day look backs after the first 30 days a feature's been implemented. What does usage look like? What are things that people are having trouble with? Or is this exceeding what we thought it would do in terms of performance? So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that mostly is around, again, like, are customers getting value out of it?
I'm picturing
Awesome.
you guys in like a relay where like teams are like handing the baton to each other, and that moment of like when you're both kind of holding the baton. So I'm curious, like when it goes from like product to marketing, what happens? Like what's marketing sprinting with once you have that baton from product?
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing Yooni mentioned is the constant conversation that we're having on a regular basis, just to be able to understand what's on the roadmap and what the team is looking to have shipped out over the course of a time period. We have this thing at Wistia called Product Spotlight, which is an email newsletter / blog post with video that goes out to customers every month. And in that spotlight, we sort of feature some of the bigger features that we've released over the course of the last month, and then highlight those features. Sometimes they're big features, sometimes they're smaller features that don't necessarily get the big go-to-market motion that we have in play when we're launching new products at Wistia. And the idea is that we're showcasing these products in a light that our customers can find very valuable, but also our customers can be made aware of when they log into Wistia. A lot of our go-to-market motion includes the Spotlight newsletter as a channel, but also we use a lot of our in-app components to announce some features. Depending on the nature of the feature, we have a product log that we update constantly with new product features. So whenever a feature is being released, big or small, we announce those features in the changelog. And of course, we use our social channels to announce some of our features as well.
I've talked about this on Talking Cloud before and talked about it in other places, but like we were able to really change our pace of shipping here at Wistia in 22. That's 2022. Now, I mean, it's like we went from having, I think it was like 12 updates that went into the product log, like update log that year, to 72 the following year.
Damn.
It's really changed a lot of stuff. Like, I think, Jean, maybe you could talk about just like, how do we turn stuff around so fast? Because like we know on the product side, we're working in 2 week sprints. Teams are doing an amazing job figuring out what are the things we can build that are actually valuable in 2 weeks, even if they're a part of a much bigger thing. They're kind of in this constant conversation. But we've also given up this like longer term roadmap where we kind of believe we know what's going to happen in 4 months. Like none of us know what will be launched in 4 months. I know there's gonna be a ton of stuff, and I know it's gonna be sweet, and I know the customer problems we're gonna be working on. I know the products gonna be out, but I don't know the specifics. And that's actually amazing, right? Like that's really working. But it does present a challenge for like, how do you turn this around and market it quickly? So could you talk about what is that like now? So there's the tactical pieces you're talking about, but what types of decisions do we need to make? What advice would you give for other people who are in this situation? How do you think folks should think about it? What is it like in a world where things are shipping so quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. We have this process on the product marketing team where we use t-shirt sizing as a way to determine what level of attention a particular feature should get and what level of work we should be prioritizing and planning for based on the feature that we're releasing. Obviously, if we're launching a brand new product and feature like Live or even Record, we know all of the different tactics we'll need to sort of put in place and tackle to make sure that this feature is released and get the attention that it deserves. However, if we're launching something just as small as adding a button, the way we showcase that particular feature is different than how you would launch an entire new product. That t-shirt size has been foundationally guiding star, if you will, on how we plan for some of these things.
Wait, do you literally mean like this, like a t-shirt size?
A t-shirt size, it ranges from extra small all the way to extra large. Extra small is something like, hey, we added a button, right? So we know at the very least, we're announcing it internally to our teams, so our customer-facing teams are made aware of it, so they can speak to the audience and customers and prospects about this particular feature. Large can consist of marketing pushes like email announcement, a video, of course, a blog post, an in-app announcement, a login sidebar announcement. You name it, we try to showcase those features in as many channels as we can. But that t-shirt sizing is really what helps us decide how we make these announcements and get users access to these features as quickly as we can.
I love that. I didn't know that. That's a very cool system. And yeah, it just like, it makes it very clear that if you have an XL, like, you know, you're going big, you know, this is good. Like, you want the external engagement. Whereas if you have an XS, like you said, you got the internal team has to be like in lockstep so that they can share whatever they need to with the customers. But it's just like such an easy and good way. I'm spitting all over myself to think about it.
We're not in the same room, so it's fine. Just spit away, Sylvie. Just like let your freak flag fly. It's okay. It's it's a framework, I think is what you're saying. And the framework,
thank you.
It creates a lot of alignment that lets it just things happen much more quickly. So everyone knows very quickly. Oh, like the adding video, and I think is a perfect example, Jean, of like that. I don't know if people think that's a big deal or not, but we believe even though that's a small thing in the interface, it's actually a really big deal in terms of the quality of the experience you can create. And so then it's like everyone aligns on that, and then that means all the stuff that goes with it. Are we doing PR? Are we doing videos? Are we doing live events? And so it's like this shorthand that lets everyone more quickly communicate. And it's been very helpful. So thank you for talking, because I don't think we've talked about that on here before, right?
It's the first time I ever heard about it.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So unless Sylvie forgot about it, we haven't talked about it. I believe she would. I believe she would remember. Okay.
Well, I have a question for the three of you. When it comes to growing a product, I feel like there are three main ingredients that like an entire team has to have. You have to have communication, you have to have stamina, you have to have innovation. If you could only have two out of the three of those things, what are you kicking out? Communication, stamina, innovation.
I mean, I know mine.
You know it? Instant?
Yeah, but you two should go.
That's a great question. Jean?
Everyone's just punting it.
I know mine too.
Jean knows his, but Sylvie.
Sylvie, right? Yeah. We only select two from the list.
You have to kick one out. You can only keep two.
Okay, for me, it's communication and innovation.
You're keeping those two. You're kicking out stamina.
Yeah, I think communication is key at every stage of the product, whether it's just an alpha, right? You're just thinking of an idea, you're building out a prototype. Before customers even see it, right? You have to communicate with your team, whether it be solely on the product side or product and marketing. That communication is key to help keep the train moving. And then you have innovation. Innovation, to me, is allowing you to see what's happening outside of your four walls. Your four walls being your immediate team, seeing what other competitors are doing, and then trying to see what inspiration you can pull from what's happening outside and perhaps apply it to some of the work that you're doing. So looking at what's happening outside of our four walls and thinking about how we can bring that in to innovate and move quickly, I think is a big part of building and growing a product. So for me, again, it'll be communication and innovation.
Yeah, I hate to be a copycat, but I have the same answer as well. For working on the team that works on Wistia Live, the innovation piece is really interesting because it's a lot of a mixture of like teams coming up with ideas based off customer feedback. We have a great designer that just recently joined who has a ton of ideas, so that's a lot of what's fueling some of the innovation as well too. Stamina to me is maybe this idea of going the extra mile all the time, and while we do that, I think that there's definitely sprints that we have where someone's on vacation or we actually have a holiday, so it's not like we are dedicating a full 2-week sprint every single part of the year. So I think even with that missing, we're still innovating. And then communication, we are, not just talking to customers, but on our team alone, I'd say we are interacting with like 5 or 6 other teams, including people on marketing. And so if we could not communicate, I don't think we could get anything done. We are touching every part of the app. We have to think about every part of the app, all the downstream effects. So if I couldn't communicate and talk to people about what we're doing, what we're thinking about, here's a plan for how we're trying to bite off a piece of this that we could chew and then iterate continuously, I don't think we could build out the product as well as we have.
I feel like Savage is going to throw a curveball in here.
Yeah.
I am going to... So if I was going to kick one out, I'd kick out communication.
Interesting. Why?
And the reason is that...
I screamed.
Now I can't kick out all forms of communication, to be clear. So that's...
He's bending the rules.
I'm going to bend the rules, basically. But I just think, like, when I think about what has really worked, it has, like, I think a lot about stamina to me just, like, means, like, staying on the problem. And, like, we want to then constantly be innovating, and part of innovating is, like, we have to learn what works. So that there's going to be communication that like, from customers and from the team. So that's where my secret communication is.
Yeah.
It's around innovation, to be clear. But I do think that there's been a lot of lessons for me just watching us go through this big change of, like, changing the speed of the business, tackling so many new products at once. Like, it's kind of insane that we did it if you think about it. It's like we launched record and edit and live all at the same time, basically. It's within like 7-8 months of each other. And they're all working. And one interesting thing about all of them, and they're working really well, and also a lot of the other teams that we formed at similar times, is like teams would kind of get on the problem and start trying to understand what customers actually want by like shipping things. They're shipping stuff. Oh, they like this, they don't like this. Or the video playback is a perfect example. It's like, we didn't think that would be a deal breaker, but it was for some people because they expected it from us. Or there's a lot of like moderation of webinar stuff that we were not thinking about at first that turns out you can't even use us if you can't boot people out or have a allow list or whatever. And then as we stayed on the problem, the speed of learning starts going faster, our confidence goes faster, and then the hit rate of the stuff we build gets better. So like each thing we launch, I look at it as like they tend to be more likely to work because we better understand the customer. The team knows how they want to work with each other and stuff. And so that's why the stamina piece for me, or you could call it like a long-standing team, or you could call it a long-standing customer problem, is just like really important. And also for me, it's like goes beyond products, which is, if you have a big marketing idea or anything, you have to go into it assuming you don't actually know which of the specifics are going to work. And if you admit that, then it's really about numbers of attempts. And so how can you have as many attempts as possible? And then that to me comes back to like staying on problems for a long time. But I still have communication there, so
I was sneaky.
I'm not going to give it up.
Sneaky.
Not on a podcast that's people talking too loud with Chris Savage.
Yeah, definitely not on that.
That's good. No.
What about some cool customer use cases that you guys have seen? Are there a couple that come to mind for Wistia Live, and what marketers are doing really to shake up the live space?
One thing I saw recently is right now we're in upfront season. For folks who might not notice, but upfront is usually when big broadcast companies, streaming companies go into this whole showcase where they try to pitch advertisers the shows that they have coming to their network in the fall or winter, and they try to get advertisers to buy ads during those shows for their audience. And we've actually seen one of our users use Wistia Live to stream their upfront to their virtual audience. That was a use case
that's pretty cool.
We obviously weren't thinking about when we launched this a year and a half ago, but we're seeing a lot of users take Wistia Live to the next level, and it's forcing us to think about how can we help facilitate this use case a lot better.
I saw something recently today, which is admittedly probably a smaller use case than our customers are typically using Live for, but the functionality is essentially there to do stuff like customer testimonials. So we saw a customer actually get one of their customers on stage as a panelist, use the Q&A function on stage as well, and essentially ask them questions about like, how has it been using like their product or their service? They then took the video from that event and stitched it together with a bunch of other testimonials, overlaid some other stuff using our editor in Wistia too. And now they've got this video that they're using as customer testimonials advertisement for their own website. So it's really interesting, people getting really creative also about the way that our products can be used, and then using that sort of like end-to-end, distributing it, editing it, distributing it, looking at the analytics, and then going back again and making more customer testimonial videos. So it's cool to see people like thinking outside the box than what we, initially tell people what you could use Live for.
That's super.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are very cool.
I keep thinking about people too. The analytics on Live are so amazing. And seeing who attended, how much they watched, if they're focusing on the webinar or not, and then taking that data, because it's hard to get the data, but taking the data and then using it in your map, like your market automation platform, or whatever, to actually understand like who's really interested in these topics. Now I can give them more content that's like more related, and it's that's how all the big platforms work, right? Like the recommendation engines, and like I'm not saying we have a recommendation engine built, but I am saying that we have some of the basic elements that you can use there. And it's been interesting to see people to do that, because it's like a big trend writ large is just this like changing what you're making based on the insights from the customer like faster. And so I see people using Wistia Live to do that, which is really cool. What other questions do you have, Sylvie? I didn't know you were going to do this.
Well, looking ahead, what features are you most excited about coming down the pipeline? Are you allowed to talk about them? Or is this like a hush hush, just wait and see situation?
Oh, we could talk about some of them. But we'll just bleep it if we can't. Don't worry. If, you hear, if the next 3 minutes is just a bunch of bleeps, we got into really good stuff.
I can start. There's definitely stuff we can share because it's coming down the pipeline pretty soon. So we put out a bunch of customization features recently for live events. It's called the Brand Kit. So current Wistia customers who are using those today, you all know you can upload images. You can change the color. You can change the border radius of what your event room looks like. I mean, there's like a ton of stuff in there. So in support of that, around the same theme is like being able to customize your webcam background. So a lot of folks really want branded appearances for all of their presenters on stage. So we'll be releasing a feature like that pretty soon. There's a bunch of other features that I can get into, but the central theme around them is increasing your confidence as a host. When you are getting on stage, whether you're backstage as sort of like a producer role or you're a presenter yourself, you don't want to have to think about every single thing that could potentially go wrong in a webinar, right? Like there's too many distractions. We really want things to be very clean, very simple. But also as you're setting up and getting prepared to host a live event, there's a lot of things that you're doing behind the scenes too. You're talking with your marketing team, you're gathering materials to put on the registration page, you're thinking about a million things at once. You're talking about, what video should I have queued up in my playlist to display during a webinar? So a lot of those things we want to help hosts know that you can take care of that before going into the event room even. So a lot of the features that we'll be focusing on is like, how do you get the host feeling really good, really jazzed, really comfortable right before they're about to go live?
That's a good one. And we talked about that a little bit with Chris Levine, head of production, last time, about just like having that confidence on camera and that being a difficult thing for most people to master. So
it's so universal.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's been around for a very long time. Live events are particularly stressful, because you think about what could go wrong or what you don't have context on or whatever. And so it is, there's the sweet thing about what Yooni's talking about is like, there's a lot of new features that we haven't seen anyone really do yet. And part of that I think is like that the technology hasn't been there until right now. So there's a lot of things we can do that are going to really, hopefully, your average stress going into this is going to drop over time as you use Wistia Live. And I think that'll also show up in record and edit and everything else too. But just because there's so many more things that now exist, like the backgrounds are a good example. That was something that was like a very small number of companies had access to that tech a few years ago, and now we can do it. And the transcriptions helps because you can add chapters automatically after, and the playback of the videos, pulling from your account really rapidly, the moderation. There's a lot of pieces here that like LLMs and like other tools using it, exactly in the right way. Just like back to the orbital sander, you need the right tool for the right job.
Yes.
We can really sand off some of those rough edges and make people more confident. Sounds okay. Let's get into rapid fire. I'm going off the.
That was great. That was great.
So let's get into rapid fire questions. I'll ask some questions. Just answer them quickly, short. That's what rapid fire means. So here we go. And you can choose whoever. Let's rotate who goes first each time, and I'll let you figure out who goes first the first time, whoever buzzes in. First question. What TV show or movie are you talking too loud about these days, and why?
I'll go first. I just watched Shogun recently. I just finished that, and I just started Killing Eve, and those are crazy good. Crazy good. High production value, great actors. I'm so excited. Shogun just got greenlit for season 2, so I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah, Shogun is very exciting. I just finished that as well. For me, I just finished A Men in Full, which is it's a mini series on Netflix with Jeff Daniels. Usually for me, if I see Jeff Daniels in anything, I am watching it, and it's really good. It's about this high-powered real estate guy in Atlanta who's gotten himself into some really bad situations. So he's trying to get himself out of it while also trying to maintain the sanity of his family. It's almost 2 stories in one that they try to show in those 6 episodes that they just released. But I highly recommend it. It's really good.
Gonna add that to my list.
What album are you talking too loud about?
Or song.
Jean?
For me, it's Cowboy Carter. Cowboy Carter came out March 29th, and it's been on rotation since March 28th. Because I got an early listen the night before, and I can't stop listening to it. So Cowboy Carter has been the album.
That's awesome. I'm late to this. Everyone's going to be like, what do you mean? But I'm really into SZA recently. All her songs are so good.
It's never too late.
I'm such a fan now. So good.
Fun fact, one of my neighbors is a big SZA fan. Every Friday at 3 p.m. without fail, there is a SZA song being played, because I can hear it through my walls. My walls are very thin. And I can hear this specific SZA song. Snooze is the one song that she has on rotation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Turn it up. Let's have a SZA party every Friday.
Very funny.
It might be me because I'm also listening to that song on repeat.
I love it.
Okay, last question. What snack are you talking too loud about today?
Okay, there's a brand that I saw at Costco. It's called Angeli. They're a chip brand. And the lime flavor is insane. I think I ate an entire bag in a day once, and I usually don't eat chips. So if you're willing to do that, get that brand.
'Tis the season of the lime chip.
I think I say 'tis the season of Costco. Gene?
For me, it's going to be on the fruit side. Pineapple has been a big thing for me.
Okay.
I used to hate pineapple just mainly because when I eat pineapples, it just feels like it's eating at my tongue, and I wasn't always a fan of it. But lately, I don't know if it's because I've been used to it now. Pineapple has been my go-to snack in the afternoon.
It's funny you say that. You know, I just saw some video that was like a hyper macro video of pineapple, and there's like people talk about exactly what you're talking about, and it's because there's like little spikes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I did, which made me feel like, all right, cool. Let me actually fight this
more of
thing.
this. Yeah.
Because it felt like
Is that
a challenge.
what got you into this? Is that why you started eating pineapple? Was because of that video?
It felt. I about to see the version of it. I saw the version of it. I was like, you know what? This is a challenge. I'm not gonna be defeated by pineapples.
Oh,
There's
boy,
no way.
that's good
Wow.
stuff. That's the dream. That's what you're looking for.
That's it.
That's
Amazing.
hilarious.
Well, look, Yooni and Jean, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us a deeper dive into Wistia Live and everything that's going on there. Really appreciate it. Where can people connect with you to give you their requests for Wistia Live or to talk to you about anything else?
LinkedIn, of course. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
Jean Merlain. I don't know if people still use X, formerly known as Twitter these days, but you can find me on X at Mr. Jean. But LinkedIn is the primary place.
Same for me. LinkedIn. If you really need to get in touch with me, you could always contact Wistia Support, and I'm sure they can connect us, and then we can chat from there.
That's good.
I don't know why, but the LinkedIn, you can just DM me directly.
In care of Yooni.
Yeah. Take care of Yooni.
All right. Thanks, you too.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Jean and Yooni, man, they're two cool cats. They're
Two cool
cats growing,
Yes,
growing a pretty amazing product.
Growing an amazing product. It is always hard for me because I'm always excited about what's next. There's so many things coming that we could not talk about. So I'm just like, I can't talk about this. And he's like, should I talk about where we're going? I was like, I guess you could, like, a little bit.
We got a little bit. Some
Little touch.
Yeah.
Little touch. Yeah.
I really like hearing about, like, after the launch, what happens. Because I feel like launches get all the fanfare, right? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
people go nuts, this thing has arrived, and then you're like, okay, then what? And so to dig into, like, actually getting customer feedback about features that are and aren't working, and how you iterate, and how you really honor sort of the promise that you gave when you launched, is really fascinating and complicated.
It is, and that's where things are won or lost. Like, the launch is not it. Like, the launch can get you a lot of attention. But the key thing that I didn't understand early. It took me a long time to understand the importance of this. Was like really zeroing in on the retention, the user retention on specific features. Where it's like, if you launch something, people hear about it, how many of them actually come back and how many of them stick with you? And if the user retention is really high, you can grow it. And if it's low, it's really hard. That makes sense on the face of it, but it's like a level of granularity that's really easy to completely ignore. Like in the early stages, like I would highly encourage, if you are launching your first product, really try to get the data on what parts of this product actually do people keep coming back to. And if you're getting above 50, 60% month over month, depending on the thing, that's probably quite good. If you get up into the 70s or 80s, like you're getting into like an incredible level, like you've done something that is like so genuinely useful that people are going to continue to do it. But a lot of that's when one really interesting thing watching live, but also all the other things we've launched is like when we get the user retention really high, it's a clear signal we've finally done something that's like not just a launch, like it's sustained. And the reason it's sustained is not because of some marketing event. It's ideally the marketing event that brought people in and then actually the product itself solving the problem.
I love it. You summed it up. I mean, we've talked about retention on other episodes before, but yeah, this definitely brought it home. And, you know, I'm excited for what live can do for podcasts. Selfishly. That's where my brain went.
I can't really talk about that, but the the thing I will say is, if you're watching today, if you're listening, if you give Wistia Live a shot, like give us the feedback. You can send it to me. You can send it directly to Yooni. You can send it to Jean. We love your feedback and would encourage you to share it with us. But otherwise, if you love the show, please rate and review it wherever you consume it. It helps get the word out there. You can always reach out to Sylvie and I on LinkedIn or Twitter. And if you're a really in there TTL fan, you will know we've launched an Instagram channel for Talking Too Loud. We've launched a TikTok channel for Talking Too Loud. We're investing more in our YouTube channel for Talking Too Loud. So subscribe to us on those platforms as well, because you may see content that you don't see in other places. Yes. And with that, we'll say goodbye.